All right, folks, we've got a special guest joining us tonight on Jibber Jabber Podcast. Tonight, we're delighted to welcome Jazz Securo, who has created a film that is recently, it's on Prime here in the UK. You can watch it if you've got a Prime membership. It's called Thy Will Be Done. Not only is Jazz an actor, a film director, but he's also an award-winning announcer for the UFC, for the was it the Real American Freestyle? In fact, we've never actually here in the UK we don't actually know about Real American Freestyle. Can you maybe give us a little bit of a look behind the curtain as to what a Real American Freestyle is?
We are live on the Jibber Jabber Podcast with Kev and Jay live from the UK. Guys, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate, when someone takes any kind of interest, and people don't realize, it's something when someone takes an interest in you and what you're doing, and I really truly appreciate it. So thank you for that. And Real American Freestyle, wow, this is quite a phenomenon. It's a big platform, and it has been designed by the late Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and Chad Bronstein, and they got together and said, listen, let's give freestyle wrestling, which for the folks at home that may not be into that, it's like Olympic wrestling, unscripted wrestling, they call it. It's professional, but it's not the pro wrestling that we know.
It's shooting. Okay.
Yeah. And it is, man, it's unbelievable. We had a show last night in Indianapolis, and I mean, the wrestling faithful are there. It streams on Fox Nation, and man, it's very exciting. I mean, it's just exciting. The production is out of this world. And, our next show's in Miami in January. And I mean, they've got heavyweights in there. I mean, we had Olympic champions last night. We had UFC champions. Right on our table is Juliana Pena. We've got Kurt Angle. We've got Chael Sonnen. It's just, and like I mentioned before with Eric Bischoff. And I mean, just in every event, there is more added. And people are coming in. What's great about it is that these athletes from the big fighting promotions can cross over, and it doesn't affect what they're doing because it's wrestling, and it's exciting. I mean, I didn't realize, I didn't know what to expect, but they are really doing it. I've got some experience in this. They're really doing it the right way to this point. I'm very excited about it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's a shame that Hulk left us before we could really see what it's going to become. I think every wrestling fan has always loved Hulk Hogan for the beginning, so it's cool that he was there at the dawn of that, to speak. Obviously, Hulk Hogan was a big movie star, big movie fan. What we always ask anybody that's ever dabbled in movies, or even if they haven't, and this is how we kind of get to know people, is what are your favorite films? So what are your favorite films, Jazz?
Well, I have an odd take on favorite. I'm glad you said, what are your favorite films?
Because had to.
When someone asks me what's my favorite food or favorite film, there's no way to answer that for me. No. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for, what the season is, and it changes. Like if I have something, food that I like, it's my favorite for the day, but I don't want it tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I like that question. My favorite films. Well, I think if you watch Thy Will Be Done, it won't take long to connect that I'm a big Silence of the Lambs fan. If I had to pick one, I adore that movie. I also like Shawshank Redemption very much. I think even though that's a different style of movie, and that's right down the street from me where they filmed that in Mansfield. I've been there several times, but there's just these movies that resonate. I like a lot of the big commercial stuff that people know. Back to the Futures and some of the, the classic Halloween and Friday the 13th. I love Green Mile, which is also Frank Darabont as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And I could sit here and talk about that for an hour. It just depends, because I've seen newer films and different genres. where I'm just left in awe. And it could just be like a performance. You know, after you make a film, then you dissect it. And, you know, you see people and they're very liberal with their opinion. And I don't think they realize sometimes, even if a particular aspect of a film falls short, then there's other greatness in the film. So ever since I've made a film, I've been sort of into that, you know. It's odd for me, but yeah, I mean, it's just, if you were just to hop on different genres and remind me of stuff, you know, I would just be like, oh yeah, that's great. So it's all across the board. I also think that Dexter, you know, series, that whole franchise is a big influence in Thy Will Be Done. So if you like those movies, you know, psychological thriller, that kind of spin. Seven. I mean, what do you say?
That's what I was thinking. I was definitely thinking that.
Tremendous influence, you know, you can't get away. And I think on each scene, a lot of people, you know, people that particularly like the movie will mention things, and then I'll say, well, this particular, what you're watching right now is nothing more than John Travolta in this. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah. So you just kind of pick and choose the things that resonate with you and just kind of translate them or portray them in your own way, is the way I look at it. And it kind of gives you the unique spin.
For sure. Yeah. We always, J Mack and I have forever, like, we get sent from different film distributors films to watch, and sometimes they're really low budget. But J Mack and I spend a lot of time defending some of the right out there and crazy stuff, because like not every film should be a perfect masterpiece. Do you know what I mean? Like, every film should have some, like, we love Killer Pinata, Killer Sofa, right? A sofa that kills people, because there has to be, like you were likening it to food. Some days you eat pasta, some days you fancy pizza, right? You can have the Shawshank Redemption, and then you can have Killer Sofa. They all feed a different part of it, right?
There's caviar and hot dogs. Yeah.
There's beauty in the flaws. The flaws and and where you fall short, and I have them. That is the glory. That's the glorious imperfection. I love seeing that and it becoming a trademark of that piece of art. That's, a lot of people don't understand that, you know, and you don't really understand what an undertaking. It means, for me, easily the biggest undertaking of my existence, and second place is way down the line. I had no business doing. My ego took over, and I said I could do that. I had no business thinking that. I did, and I don't know. And you know, I prepared my failure speech many times, but I was very lucky in that I surrounded myself with great people that that was willing to, you know, jump on board and do things that I couldn't do, and produce things that I couldn't produce. And really, you know, it's amazing when you find good people. It really restored faith in a lot of good people for me, and you know, our producers, and just saying, hey, we need it, let's go get it. And, I got really lucky. But the point that I'm making, I say that to say this, it's especially if you want to do things on a certain level. Now, like you said, you get sent a lot of films, and if there's no debate, Thy Will Be Done is not the biggest film in the world, but it's done on a certain expectation, on a certain level. And to do it on a certain level, with everything, your cinematography, your sound, acting, everything, it takes, you either have to have a lot of money, or you have to have a way to acquire and achieve what you want to achieve without a lot of money.
Yeah.
Which I would be the latter. So
that's where innovation happens, though, isn't it?
That's what I think right now in the world, where quick judgment, everybody's so quick to judge everything from, you know, ketchup packets to Jake Paul to whoever. And what they don't understand is what really, look at that piece of art, or look at that project, or look at that artist and say, man, what do you think goes in to making a feature film? Oh man.
Yeah.
That's why that imperfection, it connects you to it. You know what I mean? When you do that, and it, like I said, it could be glorious when you notice something that just resonates with you and connects you to the film or the piece that you're watching or the athlete or the story or anything. And I think that's the humanity, and I think that's what makes it great, personally.
That's spot on. I mean, we made a short film a couple of years back. It's only a 17-minute long. I suppose it's a comedy drama, you could call it, and it took us over a year to film this. Just we all work full-time jobs and trying to get the right people to start with, and then get those right people to be available at the same times. That was the first hurdle, and then you've got the whole experience of making that film is just a learning curve. By the time you're done with it, you're like, next time we'll do this different, we'll do that different, we'll do this different. But we're still really proud of it, and we love the fact that we did it. How did it come to you? I mean, this was it wasn't written by you, but obviously directed by yourself. You've got quite a major part in the film as well. Mm-hmm. How did it come to you, or did you seek it out?
Well, I had acted in some films and some bigger films, and I did some smaller stuff. It was the acting bug, really. And then from that standpoint, I was on some sets, and I, being who I am, I just started to watch and correct things in my mind. And I convinced myself that I could do it. And, just judging by what I saw, and I've been told, I think I'm a director, and, with some of the fight promotions and stuff like that, directing seems to come naturally for me, more so than, some of the other positions that are affiliated with it. But, I got it in my head. So the story was, okay, so if, what kind of I'm not a well-versed or a trained actor. So with the story, I said, well, how could I make something to where, with the role that I put myself in, there's two ends of the spectrum, and I can handle both of them pretty good. Now the stuff in between, you know what I mean? I wanted to devise a position where I could do one thing and another thing, and they were directly contrast from each other, which isn't too hard for me. I don't want to give away the film, but and that could showcase if I'm acting in it, and it would seem like I had a big spectrum, a big range, which I do not. And so the story itself, I started off with one of the premises in the film, and I wanted to have 4 different instances in the scenario. So that's how it really happened. I started on my own storyboarding these incidences, like what would tell this story. And then my cinematographer, editor, and partner in all things creative, Greg Krause, who I owe everything to, got on board. That's where you see all that beautiful cinematography and the wonderful editing. And he joined forces with me, and he brought on Michael Ferreri, who's our writer of the screenplay. And then we took that story and those premises and where I wanted it to end up. I was very adamant where I wanted this to be. And then they got in and started just shaping that concept and really refining it and putting it, where I was really happy with it. And then Michael just, he knocked out the screenplay, and that's how that happened. But from the beginning, like I said, I hate to say it's like a spite film. It was negatively motivated. I would go, because I just wanted to, I wanted to act, I wanted to do some things. And then I realized that the boxes aren't checked for me in a lot of things and how movies are made. They're just not, I'm going to have to do this myself. And when I was on those sets, I saw things. I said, I can do this. I can control this. And I think I was wrong. Somehow I got it done, but more so locally with smaller filmmakers regionally, I literally, and I wouldn't say anybody in particular, but I literally would go on set and go, this is a bunch of I go, why are you doing it this way? There's just, it's not, things weren't up front. There's discrepancies and dishonesties. And I'm like, I can do better than this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did, in my brain, from what motivated me. And I know it's probably not, you don't want to be negatively motivated, but those instances on those sets with different things, I felt like I could do it. I could do it well. I could do it better. And that's what kind of propelled it. And I was real lucky, like I said, to get people that, I asked some people that are close to me and Greg, my partner, and I was like, is this what a director would do? Or is this how you would go about doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Typically, because you got, these people that have a wealth of experience in the business of filmmaking. And it was always pretty much the same. Well, probably not. But at the same time, that's what makes you different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think I intrigued a few of the people, and that's how I got lucky. They were intrigued to see how it would come out, and I got very fortunate with it.
I would like to say, like, you throughout the whole film, you do put in a really, really good performance. I did think, wow, like, because I've not seen you in a lot of films, you always go, okay, if you were not like on the ball, we would forgive it. But I didn't feel like I had to. I felt like you were really strong. Another thing, this film, and I'm not going to give anything away, but you think you're watching one type of film, and then it changes. I think the complexion of it completely changes, and you're watching another one. Now, your character, I believe, now you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe if you go back and watch it after you've watched it the first time, and you look at your character and the way he's being, it's like, oh, right, of course, because it was always there. Like, I don't know if it's just me picking that up wrong, or was that deliberate? Like, the character, without giving anything away, if you go back and watch, your character is like in front of you the whole time. Does that make sense?
I love it, man. I just keep on. I love it because there's layers of what you're saying,
mm-hmm.
and there is no answer to your question,
mm-hmm.
but it was certainly talked about.
Yeah,
it was certainly part of the process. Like,
mm-hmm.
And like I said a little bit earlier, I wanted to make it so it's like what you're saying. And that's man, I'd love to talk about this. I could go on all day about this particular aspect.
You're in the right place, mate.
I wanted it to be, it's not complex. And I didn't want it to be complex. I said, I don't want to drag people to sit there if they miss one little thing. I want this to be simple. I don't want it to be this slow burn. I just want it to be simple. It doesn't have to be this thing where you had to be on the utmost of intelligence. And
yeah.
And there's also that element of like, okay, where people sit down to watch a movie like this, I would, in some suspense drama, psychological thriller, and they have geared themselves up for a whodunit.
Yes.
So to your point, I didn't want a whodunit, I mean, but see, you watched it one time and then you go, wait a minute. Then you go back and you're like, well, where was it there? Is it there? And there is no real answer to that.
For me, it was in the face. It was in your character's face.
Real answer. I knew I would have our leading lady, Callie Bustle. She, that poor thing, she did so great, but she was kind of my script advisor because I would ask her with outfits and where are we in the film? And she would say, and that would put me where I needed to be. Where is the audience?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So going by the scene. So I would just quickly go back to that. And I know people watching this that haven't seen the film are going to be like, what are they talking about? But, it was intentional because depending on where we are in the film, there's that element of question. And that's all I really wanted to do because like I said, there's no real definite answer. I just wanted the question. And this has come up and people, I mean, I don't want to put anybody down, but people of the higher IQ viewer seems to mention that. And I love that. I mean, a lot of people, you could just watch it for what, for what it's worth. Just like, oh, it's this, and there's the bad guy and the killing and all that. And that's a fun way to watch it.
Of course.
People who think Chael Sonnen, Chael Sonnen talked about this. Chael Sonnen is so smart. He makes my brain hurt and to talk with Chael. And he loved the movie, and he caught things that nobody caught. So he took it a few steps further. But he mentioned as well, you know, he liked that. And that's and like I said, you know, this wasn't, I knew what I wanted, and I just I'm so excited about that even now, that is the element that people that actually pay attention and watch and give it its just due, bring that up, because it was intentional. And I'm not saying it's great or terrible, but that part was intentional, and I'm glad it's left viewers like you with that. But 100%. I don't have an answer for you because, you know, I knew the flavor, I knew the taste that I wanted, and I said, being on those sets, watching the movies that I like, I'm gonna say in my layman, non-trained actor mind, that was the way to get to it, and so that's what happened.
Yeah, good.
Speaking of flavor and taste, cheese on an apple pie.
Wow,
what the fuck is that? Is that a thing?
That is all Michael Ferreri. I read it. There's things in the film that just came from the pen of Michael, our writer, and it was just added on there. Now, when we got to when we were filming it, and when you saw how the bite and all that, when I read it, and I'm not sure. Listen, that is a cheese on an apple pie is a very Americana historic. When I read it, I'm older than you guys. When I read it, I knew right away. I was like, this fits that character of that middle-aged priest. You know what I mean? Like it fits him. A bit refined. It fits him. So but he's not the one that he ordered it for her. Well, I don't want to tell the movie, but that when I read it for the first time, right away, I said, "Oh, it's gold," and it really isn't a big deal, but it just adds. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that and much of the people, lots of people, Americans ask me, and they're not familiar because we're in a new generation. But cheddar cheese on a slice of cheddar cheese on an apple pie is a very, very historic Americana slice of pie. It really is.
I'd never seen it before. I think I'm almost tempted to try it now. It must be good. I think it doesn't look right, but it must be good.
I mean, it's not gross or anything. You got that sharpness. You got your sweet apple pie. It's kind of like a salty, sweet thing like you would do. I think it's okay. I mean, I could take. I wouldn't do it on my own, but people. But look at the question that it raised. Right? It did its job. I'm on Jibber Jabber. You guys are asking about the pie. You know what I mean? Isn't that great? What a great day. You know what I mean? Thank you for asking that. I love it.
Just needed some gravy on it and it'd be perfect. So Erico3640 says, will they ever have a cage match?
Who?
I have no idea. Jazz, great job on the movie. And Matthewman says, evening, fellas. Anybody watching live, do put your questions in the comments and we will ask them to Jazz. So yeah, I felt that this was very much a whodunit that then changes into the ultimate showdown between two the main characters. For me, like, I enjoy watching movies that are not just the last time I watched one like that was, have you seen a film called Barbarian?
What is it?
Barbarian. So it's a film where it almost seems like a woman goes to stay in a house and there's Bill Skarsgård, right? Huge actor. You think, oh, right, this is going to be one of those. Bill Skarsgård is going to actually like probably be the bad guy here and she's walking into a trap. Next minute, this big ugly thing comes and like absolutely destroys and kills Bill Skarsgård, and you're off to the races. The movie has now changed to something else. Do you like going into this? Was this something that you really were like, I really want to switch it up, based on any type of like homage to your favorite films? Because I know that they definitely had elements of Shawshank and the Green Mile at the very start. I definitely felt that. Was there any other that you wanted to sprinkle in there that we might have missed?
Absolutely. You caught that Green Mile. I mean, the execution has already been done, so I didn't want to get too in depth with that.
Mm-hmm.
And Shaw, it had that, and all the Silence of the Lambs, the relationship there, which, I mean, there's no how you gonna. I mean, I want to just skirt around it a little bit, but all of that, and there's other things. There's parts in there where have you seen Face Off?
Phenomenal movie. Phenomenal.
Love it.
Remember when he's defusing the bomb? Remember, it's one of those parts, and he's doing this little soiree when he's diffusing, and he gets right to the bomb at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see that in when he leaves the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right after that little situation, the phone. So there's little things like that. I mean, I could point out a bunch if we sat and we should watch the movie and then have us all do a director's.
Hell yeah.
There was one moment actually very near the beginning of the movie that really made me laugh, and it was it's the guys on death row and the priest coming in to give them last rites. And the prison guards say, "Why did you order such a nice last meal? You're not even eating it." And he's like, "I got it for you." He's like, "Oh, thanks." He just fucking takes out me. I love that. I love that.
Pretty gains, yeah.
It's so different. So
that just that is giving you the story of that character.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's supposed to put that's planting a seed into the character of the person that is about to face the final demise. Mm-hmm. So it was that whole prison. We filmed that in Delaware, Ohio, at the historical jail. Our producer Judge Dave Hemanowski got us all of that, and he's also the oh my God, I forgot the character's name now. Eric Moon, the forensic scientist. Mm-hmm. And
he's great. I loved him.
Yeah, I casted everyone. I casted him in every role. I had a hunch about him, and he brings levity, and I didn't know. You know what I mean? Michael wrote some great stuff, but you don't really know where it lands until the audiences see it. You know what I mean? Thank God he gives us those little moments to take a breath. And, but what I was going to say was, we had the whole opening in a hospital and another scenario. And, getting that was just so hard. But Greg, my partner and cinematographer, he saw that David was showing us around Delaware, and he saw that jail. He said, "We got to open it here." What are we going to do? Is we had to go back to Michael and rewrite that whole thing, and they really pieced it together. But yeah, it was, Courtney did a great job. People love him in that. He was small, but it opened it up real nice, and the whole tie-in at the end was great.
Yeah. So it's a great cast. When you look at it, it's one of the things. You got, of course, Kurt Angle, Olympic gold medalist, world champ, many-time world champ. I mean, one thing I'll question though, right? Without giving it away.
Question it all, man.
Right. So
don't unholster those weapons, baby.
So when we watch this movie and we go, right, there's Kurt Angle, right? So there's this notion that we know Kurt Angle's a badass, okay? And then he's getting choked by a priest, and I just kind of thought that it would take more to take out Kurt Angle. What was the thought process about? Is it more so that I'm trying to use my words without giving too much away?
Yeah, this is a hard answer this is really hard to answer, but let me just go ahead, finish the question.
It was basically just like with Kurt Angle and having someone like, was this part written for Kurt, or was this just a normal part that you had that Kurt stepped into? Because if I was writing a part for Kurt Angle, you would have to throw everything at him. Did you get what I'm saying?
It would have to what?
you would have to throw everything at him to take him out because he's Kurt Angle. Do you know what I'm saying? As opposed to having Kurt Angle playing a character that was just a character. Like if I hired Brock Lesnar and I know that I'm making a film with a Brock Lesnar style character to get Brock Lesnar to play it, you're going to assume it's going to take helicopters and stuff to take that guy out. So was Kurt Angle's part written for Kurt Angle, or did Kurt step into the part that was already on the paper?
This is going to be a challenge on my behalf. First of all, it wasn't written for Kurt.
Right.
Kurt doesn't play himself. The character's name's Herman, and he's menacing. I mean, he stepped into a role that was a menacing character with a physical presence. And the part, there's some acting required there. And once again, Kurt has WWE experience. He's no stranger to being in front of the camera. He's a professional, but I don't think he really has not a lot comes into him. I wouldn't think as far as roles of that nature. I mean, I can't speak for him, but I'm just assuming. So I said, you know what, I think, and man, he came in prepared. Yeah. He had his own idea what he wanted. And my film crew was very young. Everybody was just in awe. Me and Greg, we were like, wow, we loved how he did it. Yeah. But no, it wasn't written specific. I had some other people. I almost had in that role Jeremy, another one of our producers. You'll notice him with the bird in the very beginning, walking out. He was close to almost cast in that role. Right. But now here's where it gets tricky. And people have asked this. Man, I don't know how to. This is this would be a direct giveaway. But there's a question that's asked. So what is it exactly you're watching? Is it in fact just
something happening,
psychopath and a priest, or is there there's something else at work here? Remember, there's a scene later where he asked that. He said, "Cop to cop, tell me, what's your take? Is it just this way, or is it that way?" And then that's the question at the end. And like I said, there's no real answer to it. That's a good question, because if you're looking at it just for what it is, then you'd have that question. Even though I am bigger than Kurt, I'm 6'1".
You should fight in real life.
Kurt's got a head like a pit bull. And he looks like this giant.
That's the next Misfits boxing match is you versus Kurt Angle.
I'm not trying to lead in anything like that. Kurt Angle is a very special kind of human.
100%. 100%.
So if you're looking at it standpoint, then yes, you would question that. But if you look at it for the question of the movie, if you're leaning toward that one way, to the way that I don't want to give away, then it would be effortless. Because other things at play.
Of course,
But we don't know. You have to answer that yourself.
It's good social commentary as well, because you get people in life, people in places of power that do believe that they are the anointed ones and do act in life the same way. So it is very metaphorical as well.
So it could have been that.
Yeah, totally. That's a great answer to that.
It's kind of like there's a little touch of Cape Fear in there as well. You see,
a long time ago. I haven't seen that for years.
That also has, one of the great influences of me, and that whole De Niro. What a performance and role. Wow.
Are you a big horror fan?
Yeah, horror kind of escaped me recently, because I've said this in some interviews. I really set out to make something that I thought would be more scary, and I think we missed the mark. Now, watching it now, I know what I could have and will do in the future if there's another film. But man, horror today, holy moly! Like I've seen a couple. I saw that Terrifier. My God! And wait, Nosferatu.
Yeah.
I said, listen. So we're at suspense, drama, thriller. That's where that landed. But I really, although I think we have some scary elements.
Mm-hmm.
But I always when one comes, I like all the classics, and I'll pop in some of the new ones, but I'm not like the avid, like you guys, you just going through and say what's out. I don't do that these days. But if it's good and there's a premise, I like that the Heretic. I enjoyed that one.
Heretic was good.
Yeah, that was not at all. Again, like your film is not at all what we expected it to be based on the trailers.
Yeah,
like we just all expected a psycho. Right? Yeah, we just all expected. Hugh Grant's just going to be a psycho killer. It's not that at all.
Sorry.
Something.
It did deliver. It was very, it had those elements of disturbing parts that you're just like, oh my God, you know what I mean? It's on a different level today.
It's on the fine details as well.
Nothing's more terrifying than religion at this point. Religious horror films are brilliant. And actually, The Last Omen is another one you should check out if you haven't seen that yet. The Last Omen it's a prequel to the original Omen movie.
I've been meaning to watch that.
It is probably the best horror film I've seen in 10 years.
Wow.
So well put together, man.
The Last Omen. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to check
Definitely worth a watch.
For sure. Crucify this. Are you a big fan of the Hellraiser series of films?
Man. That man, I tell you what, I was a young man. So was Doug.
Yeah.
Doug, I have to say Doug Bradley is a primary inspiration for the entire project. He really, I mean, right front and center. And I was trying, it's not the easiest man to reach, Doug Bradley.
Yeah.
And aside from Hellraiser, I worked with a professional wrestling organization called Black Craft Wrestling, short-lived. And it was a wonderful production. I mean, it's one of the truly sad misses of my career. It just didn't, I don't know what happened. The owners of Hot Topic made a wrestling promotion. And Doug Bradley, if you look on YouTube, Black, he played a role called The Preacher.
Ha.
And he would come out and he would say, my chosen son will face you in a no holds barred match. And I was just down there by the ring. Like I was in awe at just his whole presentation.
Yeah.
And it really, really set my wheels in motion. So now Doug isn't in the role that I wanted Doug to be in. I finally got a hold of him and he's like, all due respect, Jazz. I was telling him, I figured once I told him what I just told you, he'd be all in. He's like, I just did a role that you're seeking, which was the death row role, which I think people would more expect to see him in. But he did. Sure enough, he was in an episode of Gotham Knights on the WB. Death row, same scenario. I was in the movie. I was like, I can't believe I'm watching this. It's exactly the same. And then luckily, later on, he contacted me on email and said, I am interested in this role, which to me, people like it, but I had to have him. I wanted him and I had to have him. And it worked out, but that's what he wanted and that's what he got. And he did a great job. But Doug,
you think he just wanted something completely different to what he would normally do?
I 100%. That's what I think. I think he wanted something to show that he, and he did a great job. I think, the critics and everybody have all accepted that different portrayal of what he normally does. And he had his little moments, where he kind of barked a little bit, which was cool. So, and
he was very warm.
Yeah, him and Callie had a nice rapport. Those or Callie Bustle. I thought it worked out really good.
I felt like he was like, so, you know, when you're watching a film and you almost like, you start to, okay, he's the dad of this film. You start to trust the characters in your own way. I felt like he was a character in this that I could trust, you know, could go to when things are bad. But there was an element for me like, well, wait a minute, what if he's in on it? Because it is those type of characters, you know, those are the ones that really get you. And in order for them to truly put the knife in and do like a betrayal, they first have to get you. You have to believe in their character. So I felt he was so believable in what he was doing and so warm that a betrayal would have been the next step. But who knows? Does a betrayal come? Who knows? Like, I don't want to give anything away. But I felt like perfect. If you decided that more than one person in this movie is going to be, you know, up to no good, and it turned out it was him, I'd go. Do you know? But who knows? Who knows? It could happen.
See, that's the great part about it, right? It puts that little thing there, and that's what I was hoping. You know, that's what people have noticed that, and they've commented on it, and that's, you got to have that all through there. You know what I mean? 100%. It doesn't have to pan out that way, but you know, that's what I think makes. And like I said, it's not, you know, there was no intention of it ever being a whoddunit. At the beginning, you got to put things together, but I think you could do that pretty quickly. But I always, even in the final product, I thought, looking at it, a casual viewer or an attentive viewer is going to say, wait a minute. And then they find out what they find out. And I thought that worked out good, just like you mentioned.
Even at the end, like, without giving anything away, I'm a big believer of this in any good film, right? Because you get your good and your bad. But the difference between the good and the bad truly is circumstance, right? There's a great film called Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon. Have you seen that?
No.
Death Sentence. Kevin Bacon takes his son. He's just a soccer dad, what do they call him? Takes his son to the gas station to fill up, taking him to his baseball practice. A gang of youths come in, and in order to initiate their newest member, they hand the boy a machete and say, right, do this guy now. And the guy goes up and cuts Kevin Bacon's son's throat. Now Kevin Bacon is going to jail. He goes to court and he's like, that man right there, I watched him kill my son. And the court are like, yeah, well, the lawyer's like, because there's no enough evidence, he'll probably only get a year. And Kevin Bacon's like, do you know what? It was late that night. I couldn't see anything. Starts shaving his head and is like, I'm going to deliver real justice. Right. So here is a character that would never be in a confrontation, but because of his circumstance, it turned him into who he became, which was just how far do you go for vengeance, you know? And you see elements of that in this film towards the end. I believe that to be intentional, where a certain character is like, and there are questions asked throughout this film, and when we get to the end, it's clear to see that a specific character has gone, right, okay, and I don't see that character as a villain or as the good protagonist. I see it as circumstantial. Was that the mindset going into that?
Well, leaving the question was the direct intention. You know, I think however the viewer perceives it, I wanted them to be clear and simple. Like you have your own conclusion, and that's what I wanted. There's different way, and I wanted to leave that question mark. You know, it's one of those films where you do it, and then you say, well, this is what happened. Some people come to it quickly. Some people could think about it a little bit, but I didn't want it to be a lot of complication or intentionally too, like, you know, when a movie ends, you're like, well, what is it? I wanted there to be something like that. So, and to have a little bit of flexibility. Yeah. And just how you took it is exactly how it should be. And I think it's fulfilling. I think people like that, viewers like that, the critics like that. And there's interpretation, but it's not of any, you know, enormous degree. So, but yes, intentional for sure. You know, that's from the very beginning. You know, that was part of the original story that I'm not a writer, and I'm not someone that I'm not a story maker, but I did come up with this concept and this story on how and where it would end up and what would be left. And, it was always deliberate. And to see those roles, you saw that shifting of the roles, and it left you there to decide. And it's not a hard decision to make because you came to it.
I think as well that you can actually, as the movie progresses, you yourself can kind of look at both sides objectively. Well, of course, someone's experience is going to lead them to be like this, to think like this, to act like this, to punish those that act like this. When the victims are not cleaner than clean, you then are like, right, okay. It's like you go into Facebook or wherever, and you're scrolling, and it's like a man who abused so many people dies in a whatever. The comment section's like, way, karma does exist. You know what I mean? So
that's right.
The victim, again, depending on who they are and the more you know about them, sometimes we look at victims in a different light. That's one thing I like about this film. Is you can finish this movie and you can sit and talk about it for a good amount of time and try and interpret the characters, the motives, whether it was just or not, whether or not you felt that they had changed towards the end. That's not just a film it's easy in the sense that you can watch it and you don't have to work too hard. You need to be paying attention, but you don't have to work too hard. But it's the right mix in the soup to get you to the end. Would you agree, J Mac? That was my experience anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to say, for anyone that's entertaining the idea, the whole premise, the whole idea was I wanted to, and this is something that just I sat. This is what I worked at to come up. So how can I come up with it? You know what I mean? I didn't want anybody. I wanted to come up with it, and that solely and entirely rested upon people see these things happen. We live in the most judgmental era, bar none, in the history of humankind, without question. Quick to judge and no objectivity. It's hard to do. Being objective is a skill. I work at it every day. And I encourage anyone listening, please work on your objectivity. Look at things for what they are. So what I wanted to do with the film, what motivated me to do it is I wanted to present a few scenarios in which you saw something. Well, why would something so terrible happen? If you're religious, if there's a God, why does he you hear that a lot? Why would God let this tragic thing happen to these good people? And that was the whole idea. I wanted to come up with scenarios in which that question, well, maybe, just maybe your human mind, not necessarily religion, but just the general order of things. Hands have to be dirtied in order to maintain this balance of good and bad. And maybe there is a reason, maybe there is something that not necessarily justifies it, but balances that tragedy. Because without tragedy, there is no good. And that's I wanted to illustrate that with 4 scenarios or more. Say I want to, and if you think about it and if you watch it again, you'll see that. You say, you know what? Because each one is like, well, why would that happen? And then you later find out, well, now where it came from is still the question. You could put a religious thing on it, however you want to,
Well, the whole scene with Kurt Angle's character Herman, because he was set to do something quite bad.
God,
so you're thinking to yourself, well, why would the guy that's been quite bad do this to the guy that's about to do bad things?
And he hasn't done it yet.
And it's the balance. Yeah. Totally
preemptive. So that enforces what I'm saying even more. So nothing bad it hasn't happened, but it's going to.
Minority Report.
Preemptive, right?
Yeah.
Why would something like this happen to this? Why? He's done nothing. But in the general order of creation and God or good, bad, more, whatever, he was gonna.
100%. Was it? That's a better explanation than the one we always got fed growing up, which was, why does God do this? Well, now, son, God works in mysterious ways.
It's just that. It's just that.
Exactly.
The ways of an entity like that, there's something that you couldn't. That's what it was right there. Honestly, if I'm being honest, that's what it was to kind of illustrate those mysterious ways that that the human mind couldn't normally justify or answer that question in some capacity.
Yeah. I remember somebody, I can't remember who it was, but that question was asked, why did this happen? He was like, oh, God must be in a bad mood today, son. It's like, that's another way of explaining it. We can all have bad moods.
Well, you gotta have tragedy, man. You have to have, that's one thing. As you get older, you realize there's only one thing that makes life valuable. There's only one thing that makes life glorious, and that's the fact that it ends. Yeah. Nothing is good without that. It just, the older I get, the more I realize that having a life without peril, tragedy, loss, divorce, death, those circumstances are bad. Yes. But you would not want a life without them. You just,
what was it? I'm sure that was a line in a movie, and I'm trying to remember what the movie was. The sweet is never as sweet without the sour. What movie was that?
And as well, this too shall pass. That's something that Ken quotes often. He says, when you're having great times in life, things are up, you've got the best job, you're making the most money, everybody loves you, all the relationships are great. That will pass the same way. Exactly. And when you're on your ass, yep, you're homeless, got nothing to eat, everybody's talking shit about you, that will pass. Like, it's just continuous passing in the night, and it's ups, downs. And I think we as human beings spend a lot of time like expecting, well, when I get to here, everything's going to be great. Like, we're chasing this is going to be great, rather than accepting there is a balance to this shit. And even if you're rich, you still got problems. Problems are just things waiting to be solved, right? And I think this film really does shine a light on those kind of issues.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things I would imagine as a filmmaker is to find the person that can carry your movie, that protagonist, the main character. How did you find Callie? How did she come on board?
That role is badass, man. That is when that finally started to take shape, I was very cocky and confident. I'm like, what a role, man. She's got grit. She's got an edge. She's living, in her father's shadow, the quintessential. She's got the cool muscle car. She's got visions of paranormal. I can't think of the word now, but what an awesome character, So I had we had a lot of actors that were interested in that role. We went through quite a bit, and it really that door swung back and forth because we deliberated about that. And Callie is from Detroit, and I think, I'm not sure how we had a test screen with her and we talked about her, and we just felt like she, because that was the one role that, like I say, I cast the film, which, that role right there, Greg, Michael, and I don't want to say went back and forth, because it was pretty much, you know what I mean? There was no great decision. We felt Callie was solid from day one. And then when you're casting that lead role, I'm not sure if it's right or not, but as a first time director, producer, filmmaker, I was like, is this who you want? Is it right? Because I didn't have no experience in that. I know she was good. So I questioned it, and Michael and Greg, we all came together, and I felt like it was a good play, and she was great. I want to say this though. This is something I kind of say when we were on set, obviously I've never directed a film or made a film before. So, but that's not to say I don't know what I'm doing. I know exactly, I know what I want. You know what I mean? Like I understand the job or the assignment, as they say. Callie would finish a scene and I would leave that scene not as excited as I wanted to be. I would go back and I didn't really have anybody to ask, you know what I mean? Because, hey, we're in it now. But I felt like, well, that was good. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like when Kurt did his role, that was our first shot, was that shot with Kurt, and that day was day one. I was like, I'm gonna win an Oscar. This thing's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I was all about it.
Mm-hmm.
Callie, and then when Callie, we started getting into the meat of the film. I remember leaving the scene going, well, we're gonna have score and it's going to be edited. It's going to be really good. I was kind of, I don't want to say concerned, but I really wasn't flying high.
Mm-hmm.
But as it continued and as we started editing, I realized that Callie was teaching me, and Callie knew she had her own idea. She had her own, like I had a perception of this character in my brain. And Callie did also. And she made that happen. And she made it very relatable. And, people, you know what I mean? Like people, I mean, they really like her performance. And she, you know what I mean? I mean, she became Stephanie Bennett, that's who that's that role, you know what I mean? And I am very confident in saying that we made the right choice. And, like I said, it was never a question, but man, that role just had it had so much interest.
Mm-hmm.
And in the regional, I mean, we probably went over, I mean, to be realistic, I mean, it had to be close to 100 actresses. It had to be. And, or actors that are, but the role was a female actor.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think we knew right from the start, but that one was I was really particular about that role, and I wanted it to be a certain way. And I didn't feel like it was the certain way I wanted as it was going, but then I saw what was happening. And in editing, I have watched Callie Bustle more than any human being on this planet, thousands, thousands and thousands of times, and hundreds and thousands of hours watching those movies, what a director. And I'm sitting there. And I've seen all these little nuances. I don't mean to ramble. It's too long of an answer. No. But I have seen all these little nuances, and I picked up on them all. Mm-hmm. And that's what's given me this great appreciation for Callie Bustle.
Phenomenal. Yeah. That's amazing.
I noticed the little her name just randomly appears in the film. She's going through the old newspaper clippings, and it said at the top of one of the articles by Callie Bustle. I was like, you sneaky fucker.
All of them do. If you see in Angela Doncaster's obituary, it says Heather Giglio, that's the actress, and there's all kinds of little things like that. That's a podcast if you want me to point them all out. And Greg did all that. He did all the papers and stained them with coffee and all the articles. Those articles are written specific. If you zoom in and freeze that, those articles are there. It's not just words underneath those headlines.
That's very unusual, man. Like even with big budget films, sometimes when you zoom in, you realize that the article that's supposed to be about a murder is about somebody trying to sell their fucking car or something. And that's detail that the big filmmakers miss. So it's good to spend that time.
It goes in detail about the type 1 diabetic and church and the community, and then the first kill, which is Zach Williams. Goes on to he's suspected at college and all this. You read that, you're like, I was blown away by it too. It's crazy. And then the article, who it's written by, and each one.
That's so good. That's so good. Anybody that hasn't seen this film needs to go. In the UK, it actually is part of our Prime membership. I think in the US, you pay a small fee to watch it, but our monthly recurring fee in the UK is part of the subscription. So anybody wants to watch it now. Before we let you go, Jazz, I will ask you, what's next? Is there a project that you're working on that's film related, or do you see a vision of something you would like to work on that could happen in the next couple of years? What's the most ideal thing you'd love to do as an actor, director, even a writer, if you could make that?
Well, that's the big question. I'm getting that one. I don't have to, you know what I mean? Like if I didn't do anything else, I'm fine. I think I want to, but the circumstance in order to do another film has to be better than this one. I don't want to do another one equal or certainly not lesser. So that takes more attention, more time, and more money. So in order to, and the movie is just, it's very recent, within weeks, Amazon Prime, Google Play, and it's available. You can rent or buy on the YouTube, the pay-per-view movies, and it's going to be hitting all those other ones, soon it will be hitting so many more platforms to come. So, I'm heavily, I'm doing this right now. So I think I want to do another film, but the circumstances have to be better. And I've told that to the team that came together for this, and my partner Greg Krause. I said, and he agrees. We want to have more time and more money and better. Because we really this thing was really put together. I had a certain amount of capability, and everybody produced 3 to 5 times more of that capability. And that's why I think the film is good. Fans like it, critics like it. You didn't really know until you and I've gotten confidence from that, because you have your inner circle and people, and it's really good, but you don't really know. And now I'm like, listen, there might not be people that like it or crazy about, but you're not going to take away. There's a lot of critics that have wrote on this. There's a lot of people that have watched it, and it's pretty darn solid. So in order, I have to go forward. Just like what spawned that movie, and they said, well, I got to get a known actor. And so, wait, he's in the fight game. It ain't nothing to get Kurt Angle. I said, okay, well, let me get Doug Bradley. And then I said, well, let me get one more just to make sure I got my point across. So now that we did that, the next thing, I can't just do that again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got to double, triple, quadruple that effort, that result. And that's who I am. I mean, I've always, and everything I do in life, it doesn't matter if I'm washing the car or announcing on stage or whatever I'm doing. There's just something, I don't know what it is. I've got to advance, and it's not easy to do that. So I say that to say that I do want to do another film, but will the circumstance surface in which that can happen on the level that would get me to pull the trigger and say, we're making another film? And I would say that it will. I believe that it will. I think there's another film coming.
Hell yeah. And just let the universe do its thing. If you're meant to make another one, you will. Any specific genre? Got it in your mind?
I want to do, well, everybody's, a lot of people mention the sequel,
I will be done again.
I will be done. Well,
Thy was done.
I'm not against it. I'm not against the sequel, but there would have to be, I haven't got any returns on that. It's so brand new. I don't know. I know that there's people watching the film because I'm getting it from literally all over the world. I'm getting response. I know it's being watched. So to be honest, I'm just saying, it's who I am. I don't know if that first check is going to be $180 or $180,000. I don't know. You know what I mean? So, depending, I will be done. The sequel, I've been batting around some ideas, but I wouldn't set out. The only way I would do that is if there was this big it developed, or it came about that people really wanted it. But I would like, I mean, we've talked about, comedy and action. It's not set in stone. I really, honestly, guys, I really wanted it to be more, I wanted it to be more scary. I set out, I'm like, this is going to be a scary movie. I'm just, once you hit, I'm over 50, I mean, it's like, it changes, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, wow, in order to be scary now, you've got to do some things that, wow. So, but not off the table, but it'd have to be something that just jumped out at me, and there's nothing set in stone, but I think it'll happen. I really do.
It'll be great. And when it does happen, if you do need to find any big actors or known actors, we've got 8 years worth in our phone book of actors that have come on this podcast who are always looking to do any type of production, which has happened quite often. Sometimes we'll talk to an actor, and then I will talk to someone who's made a film and is looking to make another, and they're like, if only I could get this actor, and I'm like, I will connect you. And then the world works and they start making films. So if you ever do need that assistance, hit us up. And
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Like I said, I want to take it. I have in mind the level, because there's different, there's different, there's different levels of where actors are. And obviously, I'm not a Hollywood movie maker, so I can only do so much depending on who wants to, I did all this out of, I didn't borrow money, and I have no investors. Every dollar was from me.
Wow.
Yeah, I pay nobody back. Everybody got paid. Now they did work. I was very upfront. That was one of the things about independent film. I'm like, people end up not getting paid. The promises are broken. It drove me crazy. I know filmmakers, and people just continue to work with these filmmakers, and they break promises, and they're just not honest about things, and they don't pay. But they hold it in their hand. They're like, oh, you're going to be in a movie. So I made sure I didn't do that, but I was very honest. I'm like, look, I cannot pay you scale, Sagway. We're all coming together. We're going to eat good. You're going to leave the set with a little bit of money, and hopefully, we'll do something nice, something special. So that, now, when you're talking about actors, Doug Bradley, Courtney Gaines, Kurt Angle, it don't work that way with them.
I know.
There's your budget. You got to pay with, well, this is what I get for the day, and then I need to, and it should be that way. You know what I mean? Like,
the good thing is if you just get a letter of intent. So if you go to a financier about getting major budget for a film, if you get a letter of intent from one or two of the major actors, you'll get granted funding based on them. The actor says, if such funding is secured by Jazz, I agree to play this part for this, and this, and this. And you take that to the financier, you're like, right, they're on. Are you going to finance it? And with that name, recognizable name on it, usually it sways the needle in your favor. So anything can happen, right?
That's where we'd have to be there. I want, if it's going under Jazz Securo, Securo 7 Entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully my partner, if it's going under that, then it has to be I have to take a step up on that ladder, and you know what I mean? That's what I want.
Of course.
That's just what I want. I want it to make it to where, wait, he did what now? And I don't know. I got some kind of disease with that. You know what I mean? Like I can announce like at the Prudential Center, and then I'm like, I gotta do Madison Square Garden again. You know what I mean? Like it's
hell yeah.
It's crazy.
Of course. No,
it's sickness. It's a sickness.
It's the drive to do and then do it better. I mean, you are better tomorrow than you were yesterday. And if you can continuously do that, and as a human being, as a dad, as a husband, as a cook, like you say, in every aspect of your life, you're only creating the best possible version of yourself.
And those little valleys are what makes it great. And you only get so much time. You only have so many tomorrows. And that's, I mean, the older you get, the more you realize that. You're like,
100%.
You know, 100%. Just
it's a sad thought, isn't it? It's a sad thought, but it's true.
It's true.
We've only got so many tomorrows. I'm going to get that on a t-shirt. You've only got so many tomorrows.
Yeah, but the good thing is that it's the value in those words, value and what it teaches us. Jazz, it's been phenomenal chatting to you. Please come back on again soon, even if we're talking about other films or what you've got coming up next when it happens, because I truly believe it will. Anybody that's not checked this film out, what are you waiting for? You can go watch it. Thy Will Be Done on Prime and everywhere else. We'll definitely put links out to make sure everybody goes and sees it. Like it, share it with your friends, and tell everybody what you thought of it. Let us know. Let Jazz know he's not a hard man to find. It's been amazing, Jazz. Thank you very much for coming on Jibber Jabber Podcast.
Guys, I appreciate it very much. Jibber Jabber Podcast. Thank you very much. Kev and Jay live in the UK. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you very much.
Oh, man, I was just going to ask you to do that.
Nice. Excellent. Thanks again, Jazz, and we'll definitely catch up with you soon, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.
Take it easy, guys. Thank you.
Sharp like a blade. Jay Mack cracks a joke, got the crowd swayed. Sundays light up as they set the stage. Two voices cutting through the digital age. Oh, Kevin and Jay Mack, they roll like thunder. The bond isn't fake, it'll pull you under. They laugh, they clap, but they never flounder. Brothers in the spotlight, no love is louder. And loyal week after week. She laughs till her ribs ache, the jokes that they speak. Matthew Min drops his takes, always on point. The podcast rolls smooth, two kings on the joint.